There's been a lot of talk over the last year or so about minor league living conditions. And now that spring training is over, you're seeing minor leaguers leave camp and go to their affiliates. And we're going to find out about the housing plans that teams have set up. I'm bringing in an expert, a White Sox farmhand, to talk firsthand about some of this stuff. And I think you're going to love his story too. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On MLB Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On MLB Prospects, your home for all things minor league baseball. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, baseball writer for Sports Illustrated. Thank you for making this your first listen every single day. And on today's episode, like I teased, we've got a Chicago White Sox minor leaguer we're going to talk to named Jake Suddreth. Jake signed last fall with the White Sox and is currently in spring training with them. We talked on Sunday night. Great conversation about his path to the big leagues, really unique. And then his confidence. I came away very impressed with how he carried himself and how he walked that fine line between confidence and arrogance. He's a confident young man, and it's infectious, and I think you're going to really enjoy. Welcome back into Locked On MLB Prospects. Your host, Lindsey Crosby, and I am joined by Chicago White Sox farmhand Jake Suddreth. How you doing, Jake?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We're getting ready to start the 2022 season. Your first full season in affiliated ball. What's that feel like? You know, to go to spring training and be a professional baseball player.
I mean, honestly, really, it's just a blessing. Really didn't know if it was going to happen. Was waiting through the draft last year. Didn't end up getting picked. So there was definitely a moment there where I was like, you know what, my baseball career is probably over. So really able to take every day as a blessing and just blessed to be able to put on a uniform, especially grew up as a White Sox fan. So there's nothing better than being able to put on the uniform of my hometown team.
Yeah. And you talk about not getting drafted, and when you go back and you look, like if I pull up your baseball reference page, there's a lot of teams listed, and you had an interesting kind of progress through college with the pandemic taking away a season at Florida State and some other stuff. Do you mind kind of walking us through, how many schools you went to and kind of what that journey was like all the way through college and independent ball?
Yes, so I started out at Hawaii Pacific University. It was a Division II school. Redshirted there, went in through like 88 to 90, but by the time I left, I was 84, 85. Just wasn't doing very good, redshirted. Went back to Mesa Community College, about 20 minutes from home. Played there for a year. Actually, almost got cut in the fall while I was there. The head coach told me to either change my arm slot or I was cut. So I went from throwing directly over the top to a low 3/4 arm slot, and ended up being setting the single season and career saves record in one season there. Led the nation in saves, led the nation in appearances, had actually 8 saves in our first 8 conference wins. Earned a full ride scholarship to BYU there. Played there in the 2017-2018 season, was the closer.
Right.
I mean, had a pretty solid year, not great, but solid year. Showed up the next year, got cut actually at the end of the fall. Was 2 minutes late to a 6 a.m. workout, and they cut me. So started going and throwing in an underground parking garage, training at a facility about half an hour away. Took about 19 credits that off season. So I was just trying to finish my degree and do whatever it took to be able to grad transfer.
Right.
So started telling people on Twitter that I was 90, 92. I never touched 92, but I just said, you know what? By the time someone comes out and watches me, like, I'll be there.
Right.
So posted videos on Twitter. Florida State reached out and threw a bullpen for them. They came out and watched me, and I was 91, 93 that day. So committed there on the spot. They changed head coaches that offseason, so went in there. The pitching coach who recruited me didn't come back when they changed staff. So didn't end up throwing a single inning before the COVID shut us down there. Was just sitting there waiting, and COVID shut us down. So, but since Florida State required us to take 12 credits in grad school, was able to finish my master's in 1 year. So finished my master's, grad transferred again, went to West Texas A&M. We were a top 10 Division II school there. Was supposed to be a weekend starter. And right before the season, about a week before, they told me that I was going to start relieving again because I was an All-American closer 3 years ago. So
Right.
even though I had trained all off-season, all fall, entire spring to start, they changed about a week before. Didn't have a whole lot of success in my first outing, and then barely threw 9 innings in the regular season. Didn't throw actually the last month of the regular season, and then started the regional championship. So went in, before the season, the coaching staff had told me that they expected me to be the regional pitcher of the year for that for the Division II region we were in. They told me they expected me to be the highest draft pick in school history, and then threw 15, 16 innings. So it really got to the point where I was like, you know what, don't expect to be drafted. I had gotten engaged in July, so I was like, you know what, don't want to go the indie ball route. Just didn't think that it was realistic. And got an opportunity to go play in the Northwoods for a couple of weeks since they allow seniors to play there after they finish their eligibility as pitchers. Went up there and really had a great time playing baseball. Had been training the entire off season, or the entire summer, I should say, hoping something would work out. And the last game I was up there, I came in relief in the second inning with bases loaded, 1 out, and ended up going 6 2/3 with 11 strikeouts. Started with 3 2/3 perfect. Once I came in and posted a video on Twitter because I had started working at TrackMan, just doing customer support there, and was able to get all my data from that game. Since I was working for TrackMan, had contacts that were able to pull the data. So I posted a video on Twitter and included all the data at the end, tagged Pitching Ninja, he retweeted it, and the pitching coordinator for the White Sox actually direct messaged me a week after that, and basically just said, hey, do you want to sign? So left work like right then and drove straight to the White Sox complex because it was about half an hour, and never looked back.
And actually were playing games that same month. I mean, you made some appearances right there. Yeah. So some of the common takeaways that I'm hearing in this story is, one, being willing to bet on yourself, going out and you're throwing in a parking garage and you're telling folks, yeah, I'm hitting 92, and you're like, now I have to cash that check. I have to get there. And then being willing to go out and kind of promote yourself. What's it like to how do you keep motivated when it's something where you don't see a path forward and I have to go make this myself? Like, I have to go out and find my next job. What's that like?
Yeah, so really it's just kind of something that I've always had to do. In high school, I was told I was the worst player in my program as a sophomore. I ended up transferring my senior year, and there I was told that I would be possibly the 6th best pitcher on the staff, not to expect too many innings. And then I led the state in innings pitched. I was top 3 in innings pitched. I was second in the state in wins, and I was like top 3 in ERA. I actually pitched in the state semifinal game, had a 2-hitter. I think I had a stretch of like 3 2-hitters in a row leading up to the playoffs. So it's really just been something where I've always just had to bet on myself and just kind of tell myself that no matter what anyone said about myself, I had a goal in mind. And honestly, a lot of it was, I don't want to say out of spite, but just out of the desire to prove people wrong.
Right.
And just basically say that nobody else gets to decide what my story is or what the end is for me. The only one that I want the only person who I want my career to be in their hands is myself. I don't want anyone else to tell me that I wasn't good enough or I didn't work hard enough. At the end of the day, it's just going out there and giving it everything I have.
the confidence definitely comes through. And when I was kind of going through something that I'm not sure if you realize this or not, so wanted to put you on the spot here. If you go through all of your baseball reference, whether it's summer ball, whether it's college, everything, they have you as throwing 159 innings and facing 739 batters in competition. Can you tell me how many home runs you gave up in 739 batters?
Maybe 3.
2. It is the most remarkable stat I have ever seen from anybody I've talked to on this. 739 batters and you gave up 2 home runs. It is absolutely amazing. So when I watch, I see the fastball, I see the curveball, the slider looks to be one of your better pitches. And am I understanding right that that's the newest pitch of yours, that you just developed that somewhat recently?
Yeah, so actually I developed that last summer. So I was watching video of Kevin Kopps, and actually one of my friends was Cody Tucker. He actually was just kind of shouted out because he pitches at Cal State Bakersfield. So he had a play that was a remarkable play just a day or two ago. But he actually is the one that showed me the grip, and I tried it out. And that day, like literally the first time I tried it, it worked better than anything I had in my arsenal. And when I went to that game in the Northwoods, that last game, I think I threw 95 pitches and maybe 50 of them were that slider. It got to the point where that game I might as well have told them that it was coming, because I was throwing it 90% of the time, especially when I was either down in counts. Like if I missed with a fastball, I knew I could throw the slider for a strike.
Right. So 4-seam, sinker, slider, curveball. How has that arsenal played in pro ball? I mean, I know it was a very limited window, but so far last year and then the spring training this year, how have those pitches matched up against professional hitters?
I'd say pretty well. I've still been able to get swing and misses pretty frequently, actually. Is like I've never really given up hard contact. It's usually been soft contact. When I get beat, it's usually walking people, because a pitch will start in the zone and then move so much that it ends up out of the zone. But when you have that amount of movement, it does play well for swing and misses. So definitely still get a lot of those. I would say that the sinker and slider are definitely my 2 most effective pitches. Everyone in the organization, as far as the pitching staff, has wanted me to really focus and hone in on those 2 pitches. Being able to use the curveball as like a get ahead pitch, or just landing that for a strike. But the slider and sinker are definitely the put out pitches. Whenever I'm throwing those, I feel confident that I can get a swing and miss at any time, or at least avoid hard contact.
Yeah, and talking about the organization for a minute, have they given you your assignment for this season yet? Do you know where you're going?
So I was actually out for a couple weeks with a slight hamstring injury. So I missed about 2 weeks. So I was there for really through the first live outing, and then didn't throw again live for 2 weeks. So I didn't throw live again for the first time until earlier this week on Tuesday. So starting an extended spring training, but hoping to break there soon once I get built back up.
Yeah. And then from there, obviously, once that's kind of, you're built back up, go into an affiliate. And that's kind of what I want to get into for a minute, because and the way that you and I initially connected was on Twitter, because there was a conversation going on about what minor leaguers make as far as signing bonus and income during the season and housing and all of that. And so when the White Sox reached out to you, they weren't offering like a large signing bonus to come in the organization. It was pretty much, here's gas money to get to our training facility, right?
Yeah. So sign for a hat and a jersey, really. Just signed for the opportunity to keep my career going. Came in with no signing bonus. Just, thankful to play.
Yeah, and minor leaguers don't get paid during spring training. So the last time that you got like actual compensation or pay from the White Sox probably had to be for what you threw back in September, wouldn't it be? Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. So the last time that I was paid from the White Sox was the second or third week of September.
Yeah. And then I know that there was a couple teams, the Nationals were one. I think the White Sox were rumored in this, but like we're actually asking for clubhouse dues and stuff like that in spring. And it's something that we definitely need to fix. And if you're listening to the show and you're a regular listener, go back to Locked On MLB Prospects when we talked to MILB advocates and we had that conversation about minor league wages and living conditions. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. Built Bars are the only protein bars that taste like candy bars and are better for you than candy bars. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, 17 grams of protein, 3 grams of net carbs or less. They're filling. They're good for you. Do like I do. Keep them everywhere. If it's a place where you have snacks stashed away, your car, your desk at work, your pantry, wherever you might, your office, wherever you might have it, throw a Built Bar in there. Tons of flavors, peanut butter brownie, mint chocolate chip, cherry barcia, tons of options. Go to Built.com, check out the regular flavors, the limited time flavors, and the special seasonal stuff. While you're there, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 at Built.com. And kind of talking about living conditions, this is the first year where minor league teams are supposed to provide housing. What's the housing situation been like there at spring training? Like, what do they have for you guys there?
So, since I'm from Arizona, it's been a different situation.
Right.
I've been living separately with my fiance since we have a house that we rent here. Mm-hmm. But everyone else is either in apartments or in a hotel that's like about a mile, maybe 2 miles from the complex. Like an extended and rookie ball, the players will be staying in that same apartment complex. I don't know the exact specific details of that apartment complex.
Yeah.
But I know it's got a gym there. It's got a pool. So it's got quite a bit of amenities. They had a presentation for it the other day. So I know that everyone's living situation is covered in that apartment complex. They'll have a bus or shuttle that picks everyone up whenever they need to be there. But there were a handful of players that were staying in the hotel down the street just because there weren't enough spaces in that apartment complex during spring training.
Yeah. And during the season, I know there's been a lot of conversation about players who are engaged or who are married and have kids and things like that. Are they going to get their own accommodations, or are they going to be forced to have a roommate? And I know that's obviously something you haven't gotten to yet, but definitely going to be something to watch going forward as Major League Baseball implements this housing policy. Just from talking to the guys that you shared a clubhouse with over spring training and back in the fall last year, the stress of the wages and the housing and everything, what's that do to a minor league player? Like how do you improve your game and get better as a professional while you're also trying to figure out where to live and what to eat and proper sleep and travel and everything?
I mean, I definitely think it limits how much you can possibly improve. Mm-hmm. The amount that you recover. I mean, when you're worried about what you're going to eat, or if you're just eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or whatever snack you can get to, I mean, the amount that you can actually improve on your strength and recover and keep strength levels up during the season is definitely very limited. I know a couple players in the organization last year were living in closets. Mm-hmm. So they had a blow-up mattress in a closet is what their bedroom situation was. So, I mean, I know that there's been some real rough situations out there. I mean, across all organizations, it's not, there might be an organization here or there that's handled it better in the past. But I mean, I know it's a problem with all of minor league baseball. It's not one organization or another that isn't really meeting it. It's just the situation for minor league baseball players. I know it's definitely come out a lot better this year. There is some way to go. There definitely is some improvement that still needs to happen as far as I've seen with just total situations with it. However, like our high A and double A team and even our triple A team, they had presentations this last week. So I mean, those apartments that everyone's in there, I mean, they're really, really nice apartments. They're furnished. So I definitely think the White Sox organization has done a pretty good job as far as that goes.
Definitely good to hear. I know a lot of the conversation that people, like me and other folks who are passionate about this are having about the minor leagues and how to improve the general welfare of players. We talked about housing a lot. Obviously, we talk about food. We talk about wages. And even off-season training, where you're having to keep yourself in shape, but you're not receiving a paycheck or access to facilities from the team. What are some other things that we maybe haven't thought about that could be changed to make the development and welfare better for minor leaguers?
I mean, that's definitely tough. I know everyone's kind of in their own situations in different places. I mean, a lot of these arguments have been made time and time again. So, I mean, paying players, throughout the off season.
Yeah.
Because I know a couple of people that have they've been working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, people who are bartending. I mean, there's a couple other people in the organization that I know of that basically were just giving lessons and substitute teaching. But they would give lessons and coach at a gym basically all day. And then they would be able to throw their bullpens once the gym technically closed from 9 to 10:30 at night, and then have to be up again at 8 in the morning, to go back to work at the same gym that they were just at that late. I mean, so I know there's a handful of guys that definitely are just working nonstop to the point where it limits the amount of time that they can actually train. So if the situation was improved to where players didn't have to worry about not only making money to live in that time being, but also trying to save any money that they can to be able to kind of live better during the season, then they'd be able to spend a lot more time training. People would show up to spring training in better shape. People would show up and ready to go. I think it would definitely even limit the number of injuries that you would see in the first couple of weeks of spring training or the first month of the season, because everyone would show up ready to go.
Yeah, definitely good, very, very good points there. I have to ask, I know you're engaged. Have you picked a date, and how difficult is that to figure out a date around a baseball season and all that extra stuff that goes along with that?
Yeah, so we have picked a date. We're getting married in January, January 7th. So it's definitely, we tried to pick something that we knew would be out of season. We knew it would be, early enough away from the season to be all right, we can take a week afterwards. We can go to a honeymoon, take a week, and I wouldn't be missing too much right before the season when I need to start getting ramped up.
Right. So, okay. So final question here, and I'll let you go. I do have to ask, season starts for the big leagues on Thursday. Obviously, you're in extended spring training. What is your goal? What is your personal goal for this season? How do you plan to improve? And, what do you want to achieve in 2022?
There's a handful of things that I would say. One is I want to get the fastball up to 95, 96. My last spring training outing on Tuesday, I was sitting 93, 94, and last season I touched 94. So the first outing back off the hamstring, I was up to 94, which I contribute, partially due to the work that I did with the drive run all off season. So that's one of the goals. Another goal is to end up in Double-A by the end of the year. I know it's a couple levels up, definitely a big jump, but I believe that I've got the stuff to do it. I've proved people wrong every step of the way this far. So to me, it's always set the sights high, and if you miss, at least you gave it your all. And to get there, I think that the velocity increasing will be one thing, and then also just getting better with the command, getting better with just the feel of my body, and knowing exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and understanding how everything works. That's something that that the coaching staff of the White Sox organization has really helped me be able to figure out so far. So just understanding when I missed, why I missed, and how to make those corrections. So definitely just think it's about getting a little bit more consistent. So that's the main focus right now, is just getting more consistent.
All right. Well, Jake, best of luck this season. Thank you for coming on the show.